And the intelligence community needs to do its risk and damage assessment about how Donald Trump's very reckless handling of these documents might have harmed our national security.
This is going to be politicized. I imagine it is already been politicized by those on the right and the former president.
If the Trump people represented that they provided all the classified or national security information and didn't, that's a serious problem.
Well, we see no evidence of deliberate intent or obstruction of justice as we see in the case of Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago.
This was not a mistake that these documents landed, at Mar-a-Lago. This is what he intended. And it also, by the way, shows that they really want to get these documents back. And every second that they're at this beach house in the possession of Donald Trump is a risk to our national security.
Well, we all know that Trump is a liar and a thief, We know that. So it's not that big a jump to say that he obstructed and he lied. We don't think that Biden is a liar and a thief, so we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Please, Pittsburgh. Nothing to see here, please.
Today is Thursday, January 12th, 2023, and a second batch of Biden documents found in Biden's garage. That's right, locked in his garage next to his Corvette. Joe Biden was just asked about this on Fox News and had an aneurysm. We'll play that clip for you in just a moment. The House GOP summons former Twitter executives to testify before the Oversight Committee. Dun, dun, dun. And federal prosecutors are closing in on decision to indict Hunter Biden. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Absolutely stacked show today, ladies and gentlemen. Our faces are being ripped off by all of the breaking news that is happening this instant, right now, as we are preparing for the show. We have utterly changed the show. We have flipped the script on everything. It all broke seconds ago, and we'll get to the breaking news here in just one moment. We are live, baby. We are live, baby, and I see you, sweet, salty army. Hop into that comment section and let me know what you think about the scandal of the year so far, just a few weeks into 2023, but certainly Joe Biden stashing and squirreling away and stealing classified documents for his own personal use is the most criminal act we've seen a president do in a very long time. This is a criminal act, of course, because Biden has no plenary power to take classified documents. The president only can have classified documents, and what we now know is that there is a cover-up of a criminal conspiracy happening right now before our very eyes. This is a criminal conspiracy happening in plain sight. Joe Biden had multiple stashes, hordes of documents squirreled away. Why? Why? Was he selling them to the Communist Chinese? Well, the Communist Chinese sure was paying a lot of money to the University of Pennsylvania. Maybe there were some special Chinese janitors at the Biden Center. Who knows? Who knows? Sure like to find that out. And Republicans are dead set on doing it. But the water is heating up, baby, and we know exactly why. We've been working our phones and calling various members of Congress and people who are in the know, and we think we know exactly what's happening here. Now, there is breaking news that is happening. By the way, we'll tell you what we found in our reporting and who we think is actually pulling the strings here on Joe Biden. You need to start by understanding that Joe Biden is a puppet. He's a muppet. He's dumb. He's a moron. Joe Biden is adult and he's controllable. It's very important to have idiots around because if you can control idiots. This is happening because of the boxes, according to Joe Biden's lawyer, the boxes that were packed by the Obama administration, and they shoved top secret classified documents into these boxes. Now, breaking news right now is that there was a second batch of Biden classified documents found at another location. What was that location? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you love to see it. It was Joe Biden's garage in one of his many beach houses. Now, let's set aside the fact that all the people who are global warming alarmists all have beach houses right on the ocean. Interesting, curious that. But let's move past that into the meat of the actual story here. The meat of the actual story here is that Joe Biden is storing documents that he has no right to hold, that under criminal penalty, he could go to jail for the rest of his life, beleaguered, diseased life, could spend in a prison cell. And many people do spend their lives in a prison cell if they don't have the last name Biden or Clinton for mishandling classified documents. Many good and upstanding members of our military have accidental situations with classified documents. Those people end up in jail for a very long time. Huge penalties, their careers destroyed. Could this happen to Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden has absolutely no right to have these documents. Now, he's had multiple stashes of documents found, classified documents. Now what you're seeing is a pattern, a criminal pattern. This is now a criminal pattern, and it is a cover-up. Now, we ask the questions, and this is the most important question. Why is Joe Biden's lawyers hunting through his closets? What's going on here? They're doing something. They're acting preemptively to try and protect Joe Biden from something. Something is happening here. Now, there are two trains of thought as to what exactly is going to happen here with Joe Biden. One train of thought is that they knew that Republicans were taking over Congress and that they would start investigating Joe Biden. And his lawyers are preemptively trying to batten down the hatches, to try and tighten up the drum around the Biden family in order to protect them. And so the lawyers are being extra fastidious, hunting through all of Joe Biden's drawers and desks and closets and so on. That's one angle. The other angle is that the person who's actually in control of everything here, Barack Obama. Barack Obama is in control of Joe Biden. Barack Obama has openly bragged about how he wished for a third term where he could just have a puppet presidency and then control the country through all of his apparatchiks. Joe Biden's entire team, his entire administration is made up of Obama holdovers, including but not limited to Merrick Garland, who also belongs in prison, the worst attorney general in American history. Merrick Garland, by the way, will be making a very special announcement this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. That's very rare for an AG. What's he going to announce? The thought that we have, and that a number of other people, members of Congress, and those in the know that we've been calling with, have, is that maybe this is Barack Obama's shot across the bow to Joe Biden to say, don't you dare run again. Joe Biden is a man filled with hubris. He's a man who's filled with love of his own self and his own image. And if you take an old, diseased, dementia-riddled man like that and then you tell him, no, you can no longer be president, Joe Biden, he lives in fantasy land. He has hazy brain, sundown syndrome. Joe Biden's not going to believe you or listen to you. And so this may be Barack Obama's muscular move to say, hey, Joe, we control you. It's time to step down. And if you continue this, we will prosecute you. Not only that, we hold your son's life in the balance. We hold your criminal activities with the Biden Center and with the Biden crime family in the balance. We control the organs of justice. You better step down. Those are the two lanes. Now, Joe Biden asked about this seconds ago at the White House by Peter Doocy. And let me play this clip. And now that I've presented you those two options, watch this clip. Now, this happened literally as we were going live. Amazing team here at The Benny Show. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing these videos. It is you that allow us to have this incredible support team that runs this show. Thank you so much. You are the ones that keep us going. And the reason why we can get all the clips and get everything all locked in and set up and do it while we're literally live is you. And we do it for you. And so we say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this clip happened while we were going live. Joe Biden asked by Peter Doocy of Fox News at the White House about these documents. Think for yourself. I've just told you what are the two possible avenues. Does Joe Biden seem like a man in charge here? Does Joe Biden seem like somebody who's in control of this narrative? Does Joe Biden seem like somebody who is acting with confidence here? Or is he being played? Watch Joe Biden's demeanor. Watch his habitus. Watch his tonality here. Joe Biden's getting played. Someone's rolling over Joe Biden right now, and he knows it. They're setting him up. Watch.
Mr. President,
Okay.
classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street. But anyway,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, why did you have all these illegal classified documents, multiple stashes of them squirreled away in your possession? First off, I have a Corvette, and then my Corvette's in my garage. Locked garage. Locked. Just like my lockjaw with my dentures here. Let me see here. What else did they tell me to say? We will see something in it soon. I will talk about it. That's right. Is it nap time? Joe Biden isn't in control. Ladies and gentlemen, we watch way too many Joe Biden clips around here. We know when Joe Biden feels like he's top of the world and he's whistling Dixie. And he's definitely whistling Dixie because he's dear friends with Robert Byrd. And we know when Joe Biden's being rolled. When the handlers of Joe Biden come through and say, you're not running for president again in 2024, and we will destroy you if you try. That's happening right now. That was scared Joe Biden, reading from a note card, mumbling through, looking like this, mumbling through, shaking, terrified Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden knows who's actually in control. Barack Obama is muscling Joe Biden out of the White House. Barack Obama probably has a plan to run Gavin Newsom in the 2024. And these are warning shots, ladies and gentlemen. And they know exactly how to get Joe Biden. They know how to get everyone. They know how to get exactly. Joe Biden is simply a muppet. He's in control of the super state that is around him. That super state is run by Barack Obama. It's run by James Clapper. It's run by John Brennan. And these people are evil, evil people. And they will push him out. And that's what we believe is going on here. Here's the latest breaking news on the garage findings. We thought you should see it for yourself.
We're just learning here at the Department of Justice that Attorney General Merrick Garland is going to be making a statement at 1:15 this afternoon. It's curious because I sent out an email to the Fox staff about a minute before I learned about this, that DOJ and the FBI continue not to comment, but the pressure continues to build on Merrick Garland to appoint a special counsel to look into this matter involving his boss. It is incredibly unique that he is now involved in an investigation that involves his direct boss, President Joe Biden. So while we don't know exactly what Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, will say here at the Department of Justice at 1:15, it's very possible he could announce a special counsel.
So let it be known a number of things. One, that Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to look into Donald Trump, who legally had every statutory right as president to have classified documents and have classified documents in his secured skiff at Mar-a-Lago. Now, Mar-a-Lago is secured by multiple massive layers of Secret Service. Royce and I went to Mar-a-Lago just last month, and we had to go through probably 5 daisy chains of super teched out tactical gear, drop dead dudes who were ready to kick us out at any moment. It was not easy to get into Mar-a-Lago. It was very hard to get into Mar-a-Lago. Nobody waltzes into Mar-a-Lago, as they say. So if Donald Trump kept a document there, you can damn well be sure, rest assured, that it is secure. Not the same thing could be said about Joe Biden. Joe Biden, of course, doesn't have the right to have these documents. Joe Biden has no plenary authority to classify or declassify. Joe Biden was a useless, moronic vice president doddering around, who had these documents, you must assume, either through criminality or because he's being set up. One or the other. And both could actually be true at this point. The second batch details, were they found inside of a garage? Yes, they were. Did Peter Doocy just get Joe Biden to admit he has a Corvette, thus taking away the whole lunch pail Scranton Joe thing? Yes, beautiful job there by Peter Doocy. Second batch details, go.
All right, more documents. Just where did they come from and what are they all about? Peter Doocy at the White House. What's going on, my friend?
Well, Neil, the way that this small scandal becomes a potentially very big scandal is if these new documents in the second batch were found prior to today, because when White House special counsel officials put out their statement, they made very clear they only knew about documents at 101 Constitution, at the think tank office in some sort of a locked cabinet or a closet. If they knew about the second batch of documents before they put that statement out, that would be a clear misleading of the American public. We just don't know that yet. All that we know is that a second batch was found. We don't know when. We don't know where. We don't know by who yet.
So what the dirty little secret is in Washington, D.C., is that there really aren't that many state secrets. Let me tell you this from 15 years in Washington, that the classification codes that are used are hyperbolic at best. There really aren't that many state secrets. And the dirty little secret is that these people like to act and preen as though they're handling classified information, as though they're like handling the date that we're going to invade Nazi Germany. But we're not doing D-Day every day. And these aren't the nuclear codes. And that a lot of this stuff is actually mundane paper pushing. They use these classification signals in order to keep documents inside of a tight chain of command, but these aren't actually state secrets. There are very few state secrets, right, that bring down America. Very, very few. And of those, they're kept inside of generally those are kept inside of a nuclear suitcase, right, that travels with the president. Many people mishandle classified information. Many people squirrel away classified information. That's the dirty little secret inside of this deep state cabal. But what is actually being revealed here is the pernicious capacity for them to use these mundane rules that they break all the time, because it isn't about hypocrisy, it's about hierarchy, it's about an oligarchy that controls you. These people who are part of the oligarchy mishandle and misuse classified information day and night, sell it to the highest bidder, sell out our nation. Doesn't matter. They use it as a cudgel for political persecution when it is convenient. And that is why you must have a special counsel here. That is probably why Merrick Garland is holding a news conference today at 1:30, and that is what some of the smartest people in our movement have been calling for, a special counsel. Because what was happening here is they withheld this information that Joe Biden did this egregious and irresponsible thing. They withheld that information until after the midterm election. Now, they made sure to nuke Donald Trump with that exact same allegation, even though Donald Trump has every right to have classified material and has the power to classify or declassify. They made sure to utilize that as a cudgel against Donald Trump 90 days before the election. The FBI has a rule that they won't open any criminal investigations into any major political figure 90 days before an election, as to not influence the outcome. So they went to that right up to that 90-day mark and then hit Donald Trump. And then what did you hear for the next 3 months? Donald Trump in the headlines. They utilized these mundane rules and they raided Donald Trump's house, knowing exactly what that would do. It would push Donald Trump's name into the headlines in an election where it didn't belong in the headlines. Call balls and strikes on this show. Suburban women, minority voters, independent voters, they didn't want to see Donald Trump's name in the headline. They had seen that enough, ad nauseum, for the last 6 years. They didn't need to see Donald Trump's name in the headline. This was the election to be a moratorium on Joe Biden. This was a referendum on Joe Biden. And they needed to kick Joe Biden's name out of the headlines and to show you exactly how crazy Donald Trump is. Whoa, look, he has the nuclear codes. That was the tactic. Deep state rigging and meddling in our elections once more. Now, why are you seeing this happen to Joe Biden? Because they are pressuring him. Because they want him out. They assume they've run the numbers, they've run the traps, and they believe that Joe Biden is a loser. They were able to stave off through black magic and wizardry, deep state black magic and wizardry, 2022. They were able to stave off an absolute slaughterhouse in 2022, and they know they cannot do it Twice. Lightning will not strike twice. Joe Biden is not fit to be commander-in-chief now, and he certainly isn't fit to be commander-in-chief when he's 86, which is what he would be at the end of his term. He's already the oldest serving president ever. The smartest people in our party are calling for a special counsel. That includes John Ratcliffe, who's in charge of the Director of National Intelligence under Donald Trump, saying special counsel here mainly because of the timing. Merrick Garland, when he was setting up a special counsel for Donald Trump, knew that Joe Biden was mishandling classified information as well. Merrick Garland must be impeached. John Ratcliffe makes the case. Watch.
Quickly. Bill, to that point, I think the issue about a special counsel has gone from one where it's debatable to one where it becomes mandatory. So with regard to the Penn Biden Center, what we're finding out from documents is that that deal to pay Joe Biden $800,000 by the Penn Biden Center was negotiated, at least in part, by Hunter Biden and was contemplated to include an office involving Hunter Biden. But beyond that, the discussion by Joe Biden himself was that the staff that he was bringing into that deal included current Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, current White House counselor Steve Ricchetti. So this has gone from an issue just involving Joe Biden to an actual conflict of interest involving the entire Biden White House at this point in time. So it's really beyond debate whether or not a special counsel is necessary to look into this. It's absolutely required under the law at this point.
Well, it's obvious. Absolutely massive reporting here, ladies and gentlemen, about the Penn Biden Center and how corrupt this institution is. Now, we've already covered that this institution has taken hundreds of thousands, if not billions of dollars from the communist Chinese as soon as they started the Biden Center. This was clearly a graft operation. This was clearly proving that Joe Biden and his son are in the capture of the Chinese government, and that they used the veneer of higher education, this crummy Ivy League school in the middle of the most war-torn, dangerous parts of Philadelphia, as a facade in order to squirrel away classified documents and to funnel with the illusion of some type of professorial dignity. By the way, it's laughable. Let's throw the article up on screen, Royce. It's laughable, of course, that Joe Biden would be a professor of anything. Joe Biden cannot put his Depends on in the morning, cannot fit his dentures in. Joe Biden cannot walk and talk at the same time. You've seen him trip down the Air Force One stairs. You've seen Joe Biden fall off a bike. Joe Biden just this morning was not speaking English. Maybe we can cue that clip up. Joe Biden started like randomly babbling this morning, like unable to like make an English sentence. So Joe Biden was a professor of his own think tank. Ha! What would you do? Let me know in the comment section. What would you do if you paid money to an Ivy League school and your kid walked in, it was Joe Biden standing at the lectern, ready to impart wisdom upon them? Check out this reporting. Hunter Biden appears to have been present at a meeting between the University of Pennsylvania President Amy Gutmann and his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, at the White House, according to emails obtained from the first son's hard drive. Bingo, bango, bongo. Revelations come amidst controversy, legal scrutiny, the continued discovery of classified documents in Washington, D.C., Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. Whoa. Check this out. You can see the email right here. Here's the email. 10:45 a.m. Meeting with Dad and Amy Gutmann, White House. I will let Kathy know you are attending, wrote Mayor in an email. Separate email written by Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Kathleen. She refers to the Penn president as somebody who Hunter Biden feels very close to. Hunter and I are very close to Amy. This president of Penn Biden Center ended up being is currently our ambassador to Germany. Did you know this? You want to know how deep the swamp runs? Amy Gutmann went from handing the Bidens millions of dollars. Joe Biden received $1 million a year to be a professor, to becoming our ambassador to Germany. Did you know this? Did you know that the amount of money that the Chinese government funneled into the University of Pennsylvania increased by 1,000% as soon as they started the Biden Center? May want to check the security badges there of the janitors inside of the Penn Biden Center. See if they have any communist Chinese markings on them. Amy Gutmann would love it if you hosted the Penn dinner in a private room at the Cafe Milano. Blah blah blah. These people were thick as thieves. So Hunter Biden, you know if Hunter Biden's involved, you know what this is all about. If Hunter Biden is involved, that this is about fraud. This is about fraud. It's about crime capture. So now we have it in the emails, black and white, right on your screen. Hunter Biden was setting up this Penn Biden Center in order for further criminality. And that is exactly what happened. This is precisely why Joe Biden was sitting there, squirreled away on a trove of documents having to do with what? Ukraine, Hunter Biden, no-show, drug addict, getting a job there, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. The UK, Christopher Steele spying on Donald Trump. And Iran, the Iran deal with Barack Obama, the dirtiest deal ever done in American history. This is why we need a special counsel. The person who I am endorsing for RNC chairwoman, Harmeet Dillon, made this case on Tucker Carlson last night. Watch.
An important distinction here is that President Trump had the absolute authority under federal law to declassify documents and also to keep documents for a period of time while he was looking through them for his archives before turning them over to the National Archives. Vice President Joe Biden has no such defense to that. And so I'm not buying any of this. And the other complicating factor here, Tucker, is that multiple members of the former vice president's family have close and questionable ties to foreign governments, including China and Ukraine. At least one of these documents pertains to the Ukraine. And there are serious federal penalties for giving access to foreign governments to these classified documents and a longer statute of limitations. This is a major criminal investigation issue, and brushing it under the rug by giving it to a recent United States attorney holdover from the Trump era is no substitute for a special counsel, which is how Democrats have treated the Mar-a-Lago documents. So there's a lot to see here, and we aren't at the end of it yet, Tucker.
Harmeet Dillon is somebody who has represented Donald Trump in court. Harmeet Dillon is somebody who has been the tip of the spear as it pertains to defending Donald Trump from the FBI raid, as it pertains to the FBI raid that collapsed in on his house in order to get documents. And now we find out that Joe Biden's houses, and he has multiple, just a reminder of that, he also has Corvettes. In case you're wondering, old lunch pail Joe, old Scranton Scrapper Joe, old middle-class Joe, yeah, it's all fake, and everything's fake. Joe Biden himself lives a lavish life of a multimillionaire, of which he is, and he had documents squirreled away inside of his homes. So where is the FBI raid on his house? This is the signature of Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland's signature FBI raid. Send the FBI in. Are you a pro-life advocate? Send in the FBI. Are you a former president who's doing something I don't like or may run against my boy? Send in the FBI. Boy, these people. They are indeed going to get what's coming to them. God said, pride cometh before destruction, and we'll see. We'll see where the raids go next. Harmeet Dillon asking, hey, where's the FBI raid on Joe Biden? Go.
So he did the right thing. Is that a legal defense?
Not at all, Tucker. What we are seeing here is actually a cover-up of typical Washington proportions. In fact, it looks now like at least one of these troves of documents was identified before the midterm elections, but we're just hearing about it now. So it was concealed from the country to affect the outcome of an election. Secondly, it looks like there have been at least now 3 instances of these documents being moved. The first is out of the White House in 2017 as the Obama and Biden administrations were vacating. Secondly, into location number 1. Thirdly, into location number 2. And if the DOJ were serious about this, Tucker, they should be raiding all of Biden's homes and vacation destinations over the last several years to see, rifle through the sofa cushions, see if there are any classified documents there, because you can really have no confidence with this set of facts that we're at the end of the discovery of these documents.
Okay, so here's Harmeet Dillon saying, why are we not raiding Joe Biden's homes? Joe Biden has multiple homes. We're now finding stashes of documents squirreled away. And more importantly, what are lawyers doing? Why are they doing this? Lawyers are expensive. They don't just go rooting around in your private closets. What's up here? There's a much bigger story happening that we don't know about. The only person really asking the correct questions here is Tucker. Here's how he covered it last night. The right question is, what aren't they telling us? They clearly rigged an election with this news, right? They would have absolutely taken the bullet out of the gun. Oh, Donald Trump has classified documents. They would have taken the bullet out of the gun if they had released this before the 2022 midterms. They rigged an election with this news. Now they're doing it for maximum pain because they know that Joe Biden, as we reported earlier this week, is contemplating his 2024 run right now, and he's ready to announce. And so what are they doing now? They're dropping this stuff on Joe Biden before he's announcing. This is clearly an intimidation move. Tucker Carlson, of course, has the correct take here. Watch.
This is a Fox News alert. A new trove or sheaf or bundle of classified documents has just been found by people who work for Joe Biden, his lawyers, his aides. We don't know. Where were they found? We don't know that either. All we know right now is the documents were not in the same location as the first batch of illegally retained documents. That would be the Penn Biden Center, the magnet for Chinese money that the discredited University of Pennsylvania runs. The Biden administration, again, will not say who found these documents, why, or where. But don't worry. Today, the White House press secretary insisted it's not a big deal. Relax.
How can President Biden be trusted moving forward with America's secrets?
Because his lawyers, his team did the right thing.
But he had a closet with classified
his lawyers
information in
did
it
the
that
right
they found. How did it get there?
Again. He was surprised that the records were there. He spoke to this personally. He was surprised that the records were there. And when his lawyers found out and his team found out that they were there, they turned it over to their archives. And now it's being reviewed by the Department of Justice.
Did you hear that? He did the right thing because he's a good person, unlike the Orange Man. So we don't need to send the FBI to go raid his home and root through his wife's underwear drawer. Everything's cool. He's a good person. He did the right thing. By the way, that's kind of a consensus view in Washington. A city that needs to change.
Yeah, a city that does need to change. Tucker Carlson, of course, begging the question here, what's the defense for this? What's the defense for this? Major questions that deserve to be asked. And remember, skepticism is a prerequisite to truth. You can never be wrong by being a skeptic. So here's a couple questions here. Why did it take so long to report this, if you knew about it before the midterms? Why were Joe Biden's lawyers rooting around in random offices? What were they looking for? What were they trying to find? How did these documents spend 7+ years there? Joe Biden left office in 2016. Did you know this? 2016 was when Joe Biden left this office. That was quite a bit of a long time ago. Actually, it's 2023 now. So 7 years, Joe Biden in possession of these documents. Donald Trump had documents for like 12 months. And the world went crazy. Donald Trump sitting there listening to Rocket Man play softly in the middle of the moonlight, oogling the poem that Kim Jong-un wrote him as he dips his toes in the pool at Mar-a-Lago. That's Donald Trump's classified information. Those are real questions. Who had their paws on these documents? Now, thankfully, we might find out some of that information. We'll see. Will Merrick Garland appoint a special counsel? We're not sure, but he should absolutely do that. I mean, if he doesn't do that, then it's a guaranteed impeachment. Josh Hawley says this and says as much. By the way, Kevin McCarthy has just spoken on this, and we're going to play that clip. That clip is, we got that clip for you also right now. That was live just seconds ago. What was live yesterday was Karine Jean-Pierre, truly the most incompetent and lowest IQ press secretary in American history, trying to field these questions. You almost feel empathy for her. I mean, this is just a beatdown by Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy going at her saying, hey, do you know anything? Have you spoken to Biden about this? This is the biggest scandal. This is probably going to this is a presidency-ending scandal. Have you talked to him about it? Watch.
Have you spoken to the president about these documents and their discovery?
I have not spoken. Well, first of all, I have not spoken to the president about any of this specifically because he's laid out what he knows. He has said he doesn't know what is in them, so there's no way for me to talk about the documents if he has said he doesn't know what's in them. And we're just going to allow the process to continue.
Okay. No. How about no? Peter Doocy quoting Joe Biden, because when Joe Biden was asked about Donald Trump's handling a classified document, he said, how could someone be so irresponsible? That's what Joe Biden said. So Peter Doocy repeating Joe Biden's criticism right back to Karine Jean-Pierre. Thing of beauty. Watch.
On these documents, how could anyone be that irresponsible? Isn't that what this president says about mishandling classified documents?
The president spoke to this personally. He spoke to this personally. He believes that classified documents and information should be taken seriously. He takes them seriously, and he was surprised to learn by any records had been. I disagree.
I disagree. You'll never see a press secretary where you are more familiar with the top of her head than Karine Jean-Pierre, because all Karine Jean-Pierre does is not make eye contact and read directly from a sheet of paper that Jen Psaki is like, fingers are bleeding, like typing out all the every little talking point, right, comes straight from Jen Psaki. Karine Jean-Pierre just sits there, reads it. No capacity for thought, because they're lying. Because they're lying to you. Why didn't you tell us 2 months ago when you knew that Joe Biden mishandled classified information right before the election? Go.
These documents were discovered on November 2nd. This didn't become public until my colleagues at CBS News reported this on Monday. That's more than 2 months later. Why was the public not informed while the White House prepared its PR response for 2 months?
Again, this was under review. This is under review by the Department of Justice. I'm not going to go beyond what the president shared yesterday. I'm not going to go beyond what my colleagues at the White House counsel shared with all of you as well.
Okay. I'm not going to go beyond what? What? Because we played you earlier in the show. Joe Biden's answer. Joe Biden's answer is, the Justice Department's looking into it. And now you have a very interesting and curious situation where Merrick Garland is going to be looking into the president in which he serves. Wow. And the person who oversees Merrick Garland and has the right to fire or impeach Merrick Garland, investigate him, and he will, and he is doing so. You know my take on Kevin McCarthy. My take on Kevin McCarthy is, let's wait and see. Let's watch the man's actions. Okay? Talk is cheap. BS walks. Okay? Like, actions speak louder than any word. So let's watch what Kevin McCarthy does. So that's my take on Kevin McCarthy. All right? I was against his speakership on a meritocracy basis, and now I'm going to see what the man does. Kevin McCarthy speaking seconds ago, the clip is on process. Kevin McCarthy speaking seconds ago about the new tranches of classified documents found in Joe Biden's garage. Let's hear what he has to say.
Let him finish. Do you see this matter regarding the classified documents found in President Biden's home going before that committee?
I see it could go from that committee or others, but I think Congress has to investigate this. Here's an individual that's been in office for more than 40 years. Here's an individual that sat on 60 Minutes that was so concerned about President Trump's documents locked in behind, and now we find it just as a vice president, keeping it for years out in the open in different locations. I do not think any American believes that justice should not be equal to all. And we found from this administration what happened before every single election, whatever comes out that they utilize to try to falsify it, they try to have different standards for their own beliefs, that doesn't work in America.
Good. I mean, again, we're going to watch Kevin McCarthy's actions. And if his actions are good, we're going to praise Kevin McCarthy. That's how it's going to work on this show. And his feet were held to the fire by the conservatives. We got the new rules package passed. They just defunded the IRS. They just passed a flat tax. Guys, this is the most based Congress maybe we'll ever see. And the weaponization of the federal government against the people, that is a committee that is going to be an absolute brawler. Now, what he was responding to there was, will that new investigatory body run by Jim Jordan be looking into Joe Biden's documents? And what will they find? And we have a bit of breaking news reporting done by our own show that I suppose we should share now, because what we have been looking into is the fact pattern of Chinese donations to the University of Pennsylvania. Now, China and the University of Pennsylvania have both been lying about this. University of Pennsylvania put out a statement that they've never received any money from China. What? I mean, one, that is just factually incorrect. That is factually incorrect. Not only have they not received money from China, they've received billions of dollars from China. We've totaled it up. This is public reported stuff. So the Department of Education Secretary under Donald Trump is out with an op-ed this morning talking about how you have to publicly report. It's not illegal to take foreign money, but you have to publicly report it because people should be able to ask questions just like this. And they should be able to see that the incidents of Chinese dollars inflowing to the University of Pennsylvania directly coincide with the Bidens rooting there. And that directly coincides with Amy Gutmann, current ambassador to Germany, serving under Joe Biden, meeting with Hunter Biden at the White House. What they were doing was they were creating a Clinton Foundation. They were creating a way to funnel money through the Bidens and funnel access through the Bidens with the patina, the fake patina of academic illusion. By the way, Joe Biden was a professor at the University of Penn. Joe Biden, the man who couldn't speak English this morning, minutes ago. I think we have that clip. Do we have that clip, Royce? Minutes ago. So this is your professor talking, okay? This man was made a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. This guy, this is from a couple minutes ago. Go.
Good morning. So I'm a little late, and I'm due at please have a seat. National Cathedral at a little after 11. But good morning. Today we've got some good news.
The National Cathedral, a little after 11. By the way, Joe Biden's not in the National. Joe Biden's in the White House. Joe Biden's in the White House inside of the press, behind the press dais, inside of the little theater in the White House. Seats about 100 people. I've been in it. Joe Biden's not at the National Cathedral. What is he talking about? Good morning. Sunday morning. This is why you need age limits. You literally do need age limits on when you can, like, how old you can be to run for office here in America. So returning to the question of University of Pennsylvania and what is their role in this? We found shocking evidence breaking yesterday of the University of Pennsylvania acting as an embassy for China. You can see the University of Pennsylvania publishing studies about how the FBI should drop their investigations into Chinese influence. University of Pennsylvania acts as the mouthpiece for the Communist Chinese Party here in America. And they do this, of course, with the Bidens at the helm of their diplomatic center, the Bidens essentially being the ambassadors for China here in this country. Now, I think that Joe Biden never thought that he was going to run for office again, and Joe Biden was just looking to cash out on all the dirty deals that he and Hunter had made all around the world. And that's why Hunter Biden was involved in these processes. Nonetheless, the Biden family has received more than a half dozen various degrees, plaudits, or awards from the University of Pennsylvania. Various members of the Biden family have been invited to the University of Pennsylvania, and the University of Pennsylvania was acting at the behest of the Chinese government, using the Biden name and inviting members of the Biden family, namely Hunter Biden's daughter, Naomi, to China to be a goodwill ambassador for the Communist Chinese. This discovered by Tucker Carlson last night, in case you were wondering exactly how deep the rot is. Go.
So all of this aroused our suspicions, naturally, so we decided to take a closer look at the University of Pennsylvania and its ties to China. We took a look at text messages from Hunter Biden's laptop to see if we could find an answer. And we found messages between a senior professor at Penn's International Relations Department to Naomi Biden, that would be Hunter Biden's very young daughter. The message from the professor begins this way, quote, "Dear Naomi, I'm writing you tonight to invite you to take part in a major conference in China at the end of March. I've been asked to help recruit a prominent young leader. They, the Chinese government, will fly you business class and, of course, provide all of your accommodations. I don't think it would surprise you they are interested in you thanks to your family name. I would not take offense at that. It is truly the Chinese way. And frankly, better you than that dolt, Tiffany Trump. If you are interested, can you send me your CV and or a bio? I would forward that, and you could expect an official invitation from Li Baodong, the Secretary General of the Forum." End quote. Pretty remarkable. As far as we know, that has not been previously reported. So here you have an employee of the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school, sending an invitation apparently on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party to recruit Joe Biden's granddaughter for an influence operation, saying that she'd be flown to Beijing and stay in Chinese government-controlled accommodation.
Is that all you need to know? That's all you need to know. That's how it worked, okay? It's pretty simple. It's easy to say, hey, these people are deeply intelligent and they are operating behind the curtain, the black Sabbath of deeply intelligent individuals that are pulling all the levers. No, they're not. It's like Veep. It's not like House of Cards, okay? DC does not operate like the West Wing. It operates like Veep. These people are idiots. And it's very simple. The Biden name equals money and access, and the Communist Chinese Party were paying for that access and money and influence, and they were using the Penn Biden Center as a funnel for that influence and money, and also possibly sending their janitors in there to go root around and find some special little documents hidden in the second drawer from the left in Joe Biden's desk. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Bring your flashlights. Yeah, and your cameras. So this is exactly why one of our favorite members of the Senate, Josh Hawley, demanding a special counsel. Josh Hawley tweeted special counsel upon the breaking of the news yesterday that Biden aides found another batch of classified documents squirreled away. Josh Hawley is going to demand a special counsel here, and he did so yesterday. Watch.
Here with reaction to all of tonight's stories, a lawmaker who is now calling for a special counsel to investigate Biden's classified documents scandal, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, great to have you. Let's talk about a special prosecutor. Why would that be warranted here?
Because that's exactly what Merrick Garland has done to Donald Trump. And Sean, as you were just saying a second ago, it can't be that we have two tiers of justice in this country. It can't be that there's one rule for Republicans and a different rule for Democrats. You know, Merrick Garland said, we have to have a special prosecutor for Trump. Well, that means we've got to have one for Biden. It's the same thing. And arguably, it's worse for Biden because, as you say, he couldn't declassify. Whatever else we know is true, we know that he didn't have the power on his own as VP to declassify these documents. So listen, the Democrats say they're all for equity. Well, what's equitable here is that there be a special counsel.
Yep, special counsel. And that's exactly what the investigatory committees inside of the House are demanding. Oversight Committee demands Joe Biden disclose all retrieved documents from the Penn Biden Center and presumably now from his garage. Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, somebody who's going to be a rock star, somebody who's going to be an all-star, and we look forward to welcoming him on the show very soon here, wrote a letter to the White House counsel demanding disclosure of the documents retrieved from the Penn Biden Center. Biden stashed there, including classified briefings from Iran, Ukraine, dated back to 2013, 2016. To assist the committee, Republicans investigating President Biden's mishandling of classified information, please provide the following documents and information no later than January 24th, 2023. I think that's like next week. Now, the United States Congress has something called a SCIF, a secure intel box, right? Security box. SCIF stands for some type of secure intel, whatever thing. What it is, and I've seen it, you go downstairs in the basement of the Capitol, they keep all the classified materials inside of this box that's guarded and armed, can be sealed up, and they are able to go in there and look at the documents. So that's what this committee is then demanding. Take the documents and put them inside of that SCIF so that we can go down and see them and so that we can understand exactly what kind of documents was Joe Biden squirreling away and hoarding and what kind of criminal nature is involved here because, and this is very important to state, these documents and what is inside of them will determine Joe Biden's fate. If it is found that Joe Biden was keeping documents that could have been reviewed by the Trump team when they took over the White House and could have led to prosecutions or could have led to very bad news stories, or could have led to some type of external justice for bad behavior inside of the Obama regime, well, then what you've done there is you've obscured the justice process. You've impeded in the oversight of your administration. You've stolen from Team Trump the ability to prosecute the Obama holdovers or to go after some of the bad deals. You are keeping information from the rightful and sitting president. You've obstructed justice, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what the Republicans are going to be looking into. And we may or may not have heard that directly from one of the men in that photo right there on your screen. All documents received from the Biden's personal office at the Penn Biden Center are requested. All internal documents and communications regarding the documents retrieved from President Biden's personal office at Biden Center. All list of people who had access to Biden's personal office at the Penn Biden Center. All documents and communications related to the handling of the classified material at Penn Biden Center and his lawyers not limited to security clearances. And all documents and communications between and among the White House, Department of Justice, and National Archives. Ooh, baby, Comer is coming in. Wow. It's going to be a absolute haymaker, bombshell of a spring. Are you ready? We certainly are. House committee sets date for hearing on Twitter's censorship of Hunter Biden laptop story, baby. This is going to be juicy. This same House Oversight Committee has summoned former Twitter executives to a hearing in February regarding the platform's decision to censor Hunter Biden's laptop from hell story. Now, because of the Twitter files, we know exactly what happened there. The old regime at Twitter was staffed exclusively by FBI agents who worked in coordination and in harmony with current FBI agents in order to create a censorship vector to keep you, the American people, from understanding the criminality of the Bidens. They're doing the exact same thing right now. When will it end? Well, when Republicans start putting people in jail. Have a listen to what the letters are saying to the Twitter executives and how full-throated and muscular the new GOP Congress is about to get.
House Oversight Chair James Comer wasted no time today. He sent letters to 3 former Twitter executives. He invited them to come testify early next month, February 6th, on their role in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story and also just information that was coming off that laptop. Didn't want Americans to know what was coming. Your reaction?
That is the definition of the weaponization of government. It's not just what they do to individuals or entities or business. It's also what they don't do, who they don't work on behalf of, in unequal application of the law, specifically at the federal level, directed down from Washington, D.C. across the nation. That is the weaponization of it. So whether it's the FBI and school boards and Twitter or other media entities like that, or whether it's not going after investigating what happened with people leaking Supreme Court documents or those that are attacking pregnancy crisis centers. That's an unequal application of the law, and that's what's being investigated here or will be investigated here.
Brian Mast speaking there, a veteran, totally based, and from Florida, of course. We don't talk enough about Brian Mast. We need to invite him on the show. Twitter files have revealed close coordination between Twitter and the FBI, other elements of the U.S. security state. The files reveal that Yoel Roth was meeting with the FBI and U.S. security agencies around the same time the suppression of the Hunter Biden story taking place. The files also reveal that most Democrats, with the exception of Ro Khanna, believe that the platform had gone too far in its censorship. And, of course, they had. And, of course, they abridged Americans' rights. And, of course, people should be punished for this severely. 210 Democrats vote against bill requiring medical care for babies born alive after abortion attempt. Great. Got it. Put that as a bumper sticker on your car. Make that your next campaign slogan. Babies born alive should be murdered. Nearly every House Democrat on Wednesday voted against legislation that would require immediate medical attention for babies who are born alive in an attempt that was made to abort them. Ugh. Oh, these demons. House passed Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which says that any infant born alive in attempted abortion is a legal person and whose purposes under the law of the United States doctors would be required to care for those infants, reasonably diligent and consistent healthcare practitioner. Oh, it makes my skin crawl. Ugh. As a father and somebody who's welcomed 2 babies into the world and has seen the miracle of that, I've wept. I'm not really a crying type of guy, but I've wept when the heavens parted open, and the miracle of life, an angel literally gets delivered to your arms. Take your big old burly grandfather. Take the strongest, saltiest man you know. I promise you, if that man has welcomed in their son or daughter into the world, that man wept. Because it is a miracle. It is a miracle. And the people who obscure the miraculous nature of birth, and the people who then seek to murder in that miraculous moment, those people are demons. Call it what you will. Christ says that if you harm a hair on these children's heads, your fate in hell, it would be better for you to have a big rock tied around your neck and be chucked in the ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be mean to the little kids. Baby murder is bad. And I think close to 50 million is the number that abortion has claimed that we know of in this country. Praise God that Roe v. Wade was struck down. Ralph Northam talking about this issue. Take it away.
I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
Satanic. Satanic. It's former governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, saying, you know, if we happen to not be able to kill the baby, then we'll keep it comfortable while we talk about killing the baby. Ladies and gentlemen, careful how you vote. I mean, careful how you vote. Politics is itself pain. Politics is a war zone. We fight. We bring our bare knuckles to the fight every single day here on this show. And these are the people that we're fighting against. I mean, it is a spiritual battle, however, in context. It is a spiritual battle. And when Christ was here on earth, he was fighting against some pretty dark demonic forces that were taken and embodied in the politicians of the day and of the political actors of the day, which were the religious leaders. Those were the de facto speakers of the people, King Herod and so on. I mean, these are the people that Christ was fighting against. I mean, it is important to fight evil. This is evil, truly. And so we're very proud to be pro-life on this show, and we will, of course, remain that way. And I hope to welcome many more lives into the Johnson family. We're very pro-life, very pro-life. I want like 5, 10 kids. I don't know. How many kids can we get? We'll see. I hope my wife isn't watching right now. Federal prosecutors closing in on decision to indict Hunter. Yikes. Speaking of parenting and the importance of it, raise your kids right. They may end up like Hunter Biden if you don't. David C. Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware, is closing in on a decision about whether to prosecute Hunter Biden for charges stemming from his behavior during his troubled years. Investigators have pored over documents relating to the questions witnesses about the overseas business dealings. They include his role on the board of Burisma, Ukrainian energy company, led by an oligarch who at the time was under investigation for corruption, a position that Hunter accepted. While his father, as vice president, was overseeing Obama administration Ukraine policy. Man, this family is so dirty. It's so dirty. I feel like taking a shower every time I read about the Bidens. And when you dive in, you just realize how dirty it is. They also include his equity stake in a Chinese business venture, failed joint venture with the Chinese tycoon, because, well, there were more profitable ventures to be had at University of Pennsylvania, who had courted the well-connected Americans for both parties. At one point, he gave Hunter Biden a large diamond as a gift. Was later detained by Chinese authorities. Investigators have similarly sought information on the interactions between Hunter Biden and his business associates and his father. Mr. Weiss, who's the attorney, people familiar with the investigation say appears to be focused less on the politically explosive set of possible charges stemming from his failures to meet filing deadlines for his 2016-2017 tax returns, questions about his, whether he falsely claimed at least $300,000 as deductions of business expenses. Mr. Weiss is also said to be considering charging Hunter Biden, who's openly acknowledged his years of struggle with drug and alcohol, with lying to the U.S. government when he filled out a purchase of a handgun in 2018. In the form, he answered that he was not using drugs. Of course, he was using drugs. Hunter Biden's always using drugs. This family is filled with absolute scumbags. This family is filled with people who don't acknowledge the fact that Hunter Biden has an illegitimate child, that Joe Biden actually has like 7 grandchildren and not 6. They hang the stockings above the fireplace. There's only 6 little stockings above the fireplace. When actually, Joe Biden has a 7th grandchild. Hunter Biden impregnated a stripper from Arkansas. And, well, Joe Biden has a biological grandchild. Why don't you acknowledge that? These people are absolutely wicked. But it doesn't mean that we, want bad things to happen to them. A bit of a scare here. Jill Biden spent the entire day in the hospital yesterday, along with Joe Biden. Jill had surgery to remove cancerous lesions on her eyelids, chest, Walter Reed. 3rd skin sample sent for testing after a day-long hospital stay with Joe. Jill Biden had 3 lesions removed Wednesday during an outpatient surgery at Walter Reed. 2 of them determined to be cancerous. So that's not good. Joe Biden has also gone in to have procedures and had cancer, I believe, removed from his colon or his intestines. So, yikes. Careful about that. We don't want bad things to happen to people. We want good things to happen to people. That's why I'm 100% in favor of like a rule that you can't run for office when you're older than 75, something like that. There are rules about how young you can be when you run for office. How about how old? I mean, there comes, God comes for all of us, right? In our own time. And so we hope the Bidens are, I guess like healthy and stuff and nothing bad happens to them. But you should not be doing this. You should be like, Joe Biden should be sitting there enjoying the inside of a prison cell for selling our federal secrets to the Chinese. And not having to answer questions about his Corvette. Well, we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be on top of this story. We thank you very much for watching today. And what we do here is obviously fight, okay? We're a show that fights. We want to fight. We like the fact that politics is a war zone. It's a bare-knuckle brawl every single day. And we here at The Benny Show are here to fight on your behalf. So we keep fighting. And why do we fight? God, family, country. Those are the things that we fight for. Very simple, very easy, and we will win. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll win because we're free men and women, and we're going to stay that way because we do bring the energy every single day. And we thank you very much, again, for watching. You keep us going. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we will keep going and showing up for you. Please subscribe. Please click like. Please follow along. Ring the bell so that you see when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And we will bring you all of the breaking news. We were live last night because there was a big breaking alert about Joe Biden, new tranches of documents found. You want to stay informed. Subscribe to our podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Click that little subscribe button. It really helps us out. And we say thank you. God bless you. On The Benny Show, we go. Go, go, go. My name is Benny Johnson. This has been The Benny Show. See ya.